Good evening and thank you for joining us. A senior Vancouver Police Drug Squad member says he's disturbed tonight by a vote in the Canadian Senate. Unelected Liberal senators voting late this afternoon to remove mandatory minimum sentences for people who run smaller marijuana grow operations. That is, grow ops with fewer than 200 plants. The vote is a setback for the federal Conservatives' Get Tough on Crime agenda. Catherine Urquhart has the latest.
In a hastily called afternoon press conference, Vancouver police expressed their frustration. They had hoped a new bill would help them go after marijuana growers, but that's now in question.
That's why we were saddened to see the Senate change it when we weren't given an opportunity to speak with the Senate.
Bill C-15 was designed to impose mandatory minimum sentences on those illegally growing pot. It was introduced several months ago.
Our drug bill C-15 imposes mandatory jail terms on drug producers and traffickers that target our children, and we take aim at those who import, export drugs, people in the grow-op business, people who produce methamphetamines, heroin, other drugs. We send out the correct message to them that if you get involved with this kind of activity, you're going to jail. And this is exactly the kind of message that we have to deliver.
But the Liberal-dominated Senate has watered down the bill. In a 49-43 vote, they've eliminated a key element, one that would have seen those growing as few as 5 plants serving mandatory 6-month jail terms. Now the VPD says we could see a proliferation of smaller grow-ops, with more of them in rural areas.
We are concerned that we will see a displacement of marijuana grows from the city, which I suppose is good for the citizens of Vancouver, but not so good for the citizens living in rural areas where we expect to see the numbers of grows increasing. I think it's also reasonable that somebody who's operating a 1,000-plant grow may decide to break those grows up into 5 200-plant grows, so as to in a rural area, so as to escape the minimum sentencing provisions.
The VPD believes the creation of smaller, more numerous grow operations would lead to an administrative nightmare, requiring more manpower. The Senate amendments will go back to the Commons for more debate.